This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, also welcome to performance testing with JMeter Core to advanced level with BeanShell or JSR 2 to 3 use cases with real-time project application scripting. And today will be day 3, right? So as a recap, till yesterday we talked about these all topics, and if you then from day 3, right? Yesterday actually that was also day 3, so today will be extension of day 3, correct? Extension of day 3. So do not get confused. It's a extension of day 3 only. So we entered into core concept of performance testing and I covered till here, right? Now I'll go and discuss all those things. So PTLC lifecycle. Okay. So like every stuff in this world has some life cycle. Life cycle means what? Life cycle doesn't mean the it's something different. It's the process, okay, a step-by-step process that is called life cycle, right? Like first step this, then second step this, then third step this. Like that is what called a flow, a diagram kind of thing. That is called life cycle. Everything software development life cycle, software testing life cycle, like that. These things are there. So it's a performance testing life cycle. Now this performance testing life cycle involves 6 to 7 phases. First one is non-functional requirement gathering, okay, NFR gathering and documentation. So this phase, in this phase, what is done, correct? So I'll tell you. Let us say that there is one application, okay, and it went to tester, a functional tester, right? Who will test it, the functionality. So they will document all the thing, like what to test, how to test, what should be the result, all the thing they will document. So generally that is called a business requirement document, okay, BID document. Now, since this performance testing is non-functional testing, actually it's not NFT, a non-functional testing. That's why here the name is changing to NFR. There it's BRD, here NFR, non-functional requirement, right? So that is gather and it is documented. Now what is that? Correct. So for an example, let us say you have developed one application or someone has developed an application and he wants the performance to be tested, right? So he will approach someone or he will hire some team, correct? So he will ask the performance tester person responsibility will be to take the inputs from that person whose application want to be tested. Like what inputs, correct? So that input taking phase and documentation is this phase, taking input from the business client. Like what kind of thing? So there are many things, many query you have to ask, like query related to for how many number of user you want to do the load test, what is the concurrency. Concurrency means how many number of user are coming to your application per hour basis, like that, right? What should be think time for output pacing, all these technical terms, do not worry, we will be discussing later on, right? For now, just understand. So there is a list of query that you can ask. There is a dedicated document for that which I'll be sharing later on. So if I open this PDF document, yeah, you see a performance requirement, right? So there, this is a document where like all the questions what you can ask to a client, right? And which you can document is given here, right? Like that, right? So that is what. Now generally, so those things are gathered and documented. So this is what this phase. Now generally this in this phase, senior people are involved. Okay, those who are having some 6 7 years of experience or more than that, they are involved. So as a beginner, generally you do not have to worry about. Just for an idea, you can have this. If you want to read, you can read that document also. Okay, but generally in real time, senior people is involved because only after experience only you will be able to handle the client, right? These questions, all those things. Now, so this is the first step. Okay, taking inputs. Now, once that is done, then that next step is test strategy or test plan. Okay, so this test strategy or test planning, uh, here planning is done. Like in how many budget, right? Okay, budget means the financial thing, like yeah, in how much budget it should be done, who will be working, that is called resource allocation. Resource means what? The person, the employee who will be working, what tool to use, what protocol to use, correct? Environment setup. Environment setup means the setup. Okay, means the somewhere we have to work, right? So that is what environment setup. So that is that. Okay. So this is also again manager level thing, right? Senior level thing, right? Then after that, this phase three. Phase three is what? Test design or test script. So this is the phase where tool is used, performance testing tool, PT tool is used, and we do the scripting of the application. Scripting is what few days back I've told that we make the performance testing tool behave as a real user. So how we will make that tool behave as a real user, right? So through scripting only, correct? So that is what we have to prepare the script. So that all we will be learning. Do not worry. The main thing is start from scripting. Now once the scripting is done, then load testing. Okay, user load distribution to different scenario and test execution, load test execution. Fine. Once this load testing is done, then phase 5, we will be getting the result after load test execution. So we have to analyze that result and again report that result, right? That is what analysis. Report result analysis and reporting it. Reporting means documenting it and sharing with the concerned person or senior person. That is what reporting. Then last one, sixth phase, benchmarking and recommendation. So this is the phase where again we will be giving some recommendation. Like let us say that you in the report you see some problem. What kind of problem and all those things I'll be explaining. Do not worry. But yeah, for now, thing like that, you have the result, you analyze that, and you see there is some problem. So you will be explaining and you will be recommending. Okay, we can do this, we can do that. Here is some issue. Like okay, so that is what recommendation. Now see, and again this one is rerunning. If required, we have to rerun all the tests again, right? Again we have to run the test again, report analysis. This is long process. It keeps on going. Like let us say first you tested for 1000 users, again you will be testing for 2000 users, right? So it's like this cycle goes on like this, correct? Okay, till the requirement is fulfilled, right? What now in all these 6 to 7 pages, generally the 6th page, see the tool is used in only 2 phases. Okay, which 2 phase? Here, this phase and this phase. Only in these 2 phases, the PT there is the use of performance testing tool, any performance testing tool. Okay, let apart from that, in the first one, in the second one, in the fifth one, in the sixth one, it's the tool requirement is not there. It's all human requirement, right? Directly human. Like as I said here, the senior people will be doing it's like human interaction will be there from user to client, right? Client,
Vallabh,
who is the client means the person on whose product will.
Miss, I have a question here.
Yeah,
So, Miss, will you cover this non-functional requirement also in this training?
you can that I have told that PDF document. Now you can read from that. It's already listed here, right? Okay, so yeah, so that is what. So again, this is senior level thing. The senior people will be talking with client. Again, planning is senior people will making the plan. So it's like here there is no intervention of tool, means the work of tool doesn't come, right? It's the planning phase or human intervention or the manager intervention phase. Same way, once after this we have the result. So again, what tool will do? You have the result, right? And you have to analyze and recommend. So again, here it's like human intervention, the employee intervention, right? Okay. So only these two phases where uh, we use the tool, right? So
Vallabh,
this
I
all,
have one question.
yeah,
Yeah. So, what will be included in a test strategies step?
yeah, like this budget setup, resource allocation, which resource will work, which protocol is should be used, which tool to use, environment setup, all this.
Okay.
Fine. So again, right? So these all are senior person involvement. Okay. So it doesn't plus in NFR what you should ask, that document is there. You can read that if required. But for beginner level, this is not required. Okay. Our work is here, here, right? Main thing. Even though we'll see those things later on. Now, as I said, tool is used from phase 3. So we'll this explain. Now we'll enter into phase 3 because that is where the tool, any tool will be used. So phase 3 is what? Test design or test scripting. Correct. Now here again some steps are there. First step is identification and documentation of the business or test scenarios. Okay, business scenario or test scenario, that is also called a user flow or business flow, or it is also called a user journey, or it is also called a user story. This meaning is same. If we call business scenario or test scenario or business flow or user flow or user journey or user story, meaning is same. Okay, what is the meaning of this? I'll explain. Fine. So we have to identify that business or test scenario and their transaction. Whatever the transactions are involved, transactions are called as user action or test cases for that business scenario. We have to identify that and document it. Right? Along with if there are critical scenarios or feasible non-feasible scenario, that we have to identify, document. Right now, after that, once that is done, okay. So after that is done, we do the recording, script recording, enhancement. Okay, this is where the script is prepared. All these things. Fine. So before we come and discuss all these things, we will understand what is this. Okay. So to understand that, yeah, let us open one website called Amazon or Flipkart. Easy, right? Everyone uses that. So I'll open it. Now let us say there is one website called Flipkart. Okay. So some person comes and say work is given to you or your company that we have to performance test this Flipkart. Right? So as I said, the first two steps will be done by senior thing people, the NFR collecting, right? Test planning, test strategy, all those things. Plus this the uh, identification of the business scenario and transaction. That is also a kind of part of that phase only. Okay, but you can put it in this phase or you can put that in this phase. It's same because that is also a requirement. We have to know the requirement, right? Fine. So what is this? So basically, see, on any application, there is some work that needs to be done. Correct. Like suppose there is a banking application. So you'll what why it is designed? You can do many things, right? You can do fund transfer. You can add beneficiary. You can change password. You can make loan payment. You can borrow loan. You can pay UPI payments. Right. You can make uh, You can ask for money through UPI. So many things are there, right? So all that different story, correct? That is called as business scenario of an application. That is called as what? Business or test scenario of an application. So same. So every application has some scenario. Okay, correct? Let us say you take Zomato or Swiggy. So what different thing you can do? You can search the food, then choose that restaurant, order food. That is the major scenario, right? So the major scenario is known as critical scenario, correct? Then apart from that, some other scenarios will also be there, right? So, so correct, getting the point. So same way, let us say I'll take this Flipkart example. I've just made a small list. So let us say on Flipkart, what different scenarios are there? One main scenario is what? A user will be coming, he will be searching the product, that is called browsing. If needed, uh, uh, that is called buying scenario, right? Product buying scenario. So he will launch the page, login, he will search the product, right? uh, he will add it to cart, or the product which he is searching, if he finds that, so basically he will add it to cart, he will do the checkout, order summary, payment, all those things, right? So these are the steps, right, to do this scenario, buying scenario, order buying scenario. Like that, some other scenario, suppose you already booked the product, you want to cancel that, so cancellation scenario. Okay, you want to raise complaint, you want to write a review, so complaint registration scenario, review, uh, registration, putting review scenario, right? Like that, you want to do a fresh registration, you want to change your address, you want to update your address, update password, all those like small scenarios. Same way, any seller, so this is buyer thing, suppose sellers are there, right? So they will be having some scenarios, like they will be adding product, they will be deleting some product, then their admin will be also there. For Flipkart, admin will be approving the uh, suppose some financial transactions, right? Like suppose some refund needs to be given, all those, some complaint needs to be addressed, so that is different scenario one. Same way, suppose a seller has added one product, then approve should be done, correct? So you see, so much means there are so many scenario on a website, on any website, right? We have to identify that scenario. Okay, so Flipkart is very big, will be so many things, but that is what overview I'm saying. So for any application, when it's going to be tested, there will be multiple scenario on that application. Okay, so that is called, those scenarios are called business scenario. Now it's clear, right? Business scenario or test scenario, or business flow, or user flow, or user journey, or user story, correct? Same thing, meaning is same. And the transactions involved in that. Now what is transaction? Transaction means the steps. Suppose for buying a product, these are the steps that needs to be done. Okay, for canceling a product, these are the steps that need to be done, right? Let us say, I'll show you. Suppose you want to buy a product, so what you will do, buying a product is a scenario. Now to do that scenario, you will be doing a small steps on the website, right? So first, like, you will be launching, okay, then you'll be searching, let us say, a laptop or Dell. So that is what, second, searching Dell laptop, another step you did, right? Step two. Now you got so many. Let us say you liked this one, correct? Or anyone you liked, right? And you want to buy that. Okay, so you want to buy that. Let us say I want to buy this. So what I'll be doing, I'll be clicking on. So clicking here, that is another one more step. I'm selecting that. Okay, then it is going to this option. Let us say for now it's sold out. Okay, we'll choose another one. We'll pick new one. Okay, this one. Now suppose you liked it, you have read this, and then you like it. So what you will do, either you will add to cart or you will click on buy now. So clicking on buy now, add to cart, another step, right? Then again, it will take here where you have to log in. Once you do login and setup, then then you have to put the delivery address, read order summary, then finally you have to do payment, right? So to book a product, these are different steps that you are doing, a small steps. Those steps are called as user action, right? And technically, this user action is called as transaction in performance testing. So to do a scenario, there can be multiple transactions, right? Multiple transactions. So that is what you have to identify those scenario which needs to be tested and what are the transaction involved in that, and you have to document that. Why documentation is needed? Because you may forget, right? Okay. With critical scenario are the important scenarios are called critical. Feasible and non-feasible means the scenario which can be done, the scenario which cannot be done, all those things. Suppose there is one scenario and you think it cannot be done, right? So that will come under non-feasible, like that. So, right, getting the point. So this is what uh, yes. So this is what uh, scenario is, and this is called transaction. So generally, every user action that we do, that is called a transaction. Like suppose you launch the website, correct? You launch the website. This is one user action that you did. So that is one transaction. Then you search something. It's a Dell laptop you are searching and clicking the search button. So that is second transaction you did, second user action. Then suppose you are clicking on this, so that is third transaction, third user action doing. So basically that user action will be technically called what, a transaction. So third transaction. Then suppose you are clicking on buy now, so fourth transaction, right? Like that, login and doing the fifth transaction, the sixth transaction, seventh transaction, eighth transaction, right? So all a user action that we do on a website, that is technically called a transaction. Now for different scenario, there will be different set of transactions, correct? Okay. Then once this is done, identification and documentation is done, then we do the recording. Okay, we do what? We do the script recording. What is script recording? Script recording is basically recording or capturing the request and response for each transaction. Okay, for each transaction. Suppose you will be working on, let us say there are 5 business scenario that you have to do the performance testing, correct? 5 are there on an application. Now you have to prepare the script for that, for 5 one by one, correct? So you will take one scenario, let us say product booking will take, and you will start working on that, right? Product booking scenario you have taken and you will start working on that. Now uh, yeah, so you've taken product booking. So first thing will while preparing the script will is recording. I mean, recording, what you will be doing, you'll be recording slash capturing the request and response for each transaction or user action for that particular business scenario on an application, right? Let us say you'll be working on product booking scenario of an application. So in that, so many transactions are there. So for each transaction there is a request and response, and we have to capture that. That is called recording. Okay, now how that is done on all those things we'll understand, do not worry. So basically everything starts with recording. Once recording is done, then we do the enhancement is bigger phase. Here all we do correlation, parameterization, putting assertion, user function, writing some codes, test data preparation, setting tool, all these things we do, correct? This is the enhancement is the step where we will be making the tool do what the real user is doing. Let us say what I have shown here. A real user did 10 transaction here. Let us say for an example, he opened the Flipkart, he typed Dell laptop. When the result came, he choose one of the laptop. Then he clicked on that. Then he clicked on buy now. Then he came here. So this whole thing, let us say total 10 or let us 10 transactions are there in this product booking, right? So that real user is doing. Now what we have to do, we have to make the tool do that. Why?
All the videos
Because
which I've done so has been uploaded to
because
this playlist. Now you go ahead and
why we have to make the tool do that? Because manually we cannot do the performance testing, right? Long back I told that suppose you want to do performance testing of for 1000 users, so you have to bring manually want to do. So you will bring 1000 people and give you one of them each 1000 laptop, and they will start doing this activity. You will monitor the performance, but you have to do for 5000 users, 10,000, not possible, right? So that is what the tool comes in picture, where we will be able to generate that many number of user instead of real user doing that. Tool will be doing. Now how to make the tool do the same thing that real user is doing? Correct? Understand? So how to make the tool do the same thing that real user doing, that is called scripting, right? So that is what first is to start with the script recording and then enhancement. Once we do the recording, right, uh, what is this request response, I'll explain, do not worry. So after that we do the enhancement is the bigger phase where we make the changes in that recorded thing which got recorded here, and we make the tool do the same thing that for that scenario that real user is doing. Correct? And then this is replay debugging or stabilization, means once the enhancement is done, we do the stabilization of the script. We'll test like whether it is doing the same thing or not, right? So that's what. Now
So, sorry to interrupt you here. So, like opening the URL will also be captured. Like we will, we create a virtual user and means on the same time we will try means 1000 user will try to open the same URL. So how it
hmm,
impact? So that will
yes,
also be captured here.
yes.
So that we will cover by JMeter only.
Hmm.
And the second one is like if suppose we are performing some application where REST APIs are also there. So for that means how we can means create the virtual user that will also you covered means like suppose there is application like a middleware kind of thing.
Virtual user, we do not have to create. Tool will create. You have to first automate that scenario. Okay, you have to prepare the script for whatever the scenario that is. That is the main task. Okay. So as you learn, you will understand. Don't worry. So now we'll understand what a request and response is and what a transaction is in details. Okay, because everything depends on this one. So for that, first we'll start with a protocol called HTTPS protocol. This HTTPS protocol is the protocol. Means yesterday we talked about definition of protocol, right? So it's a protocol in general. It's the communication protocol for web application. What is web application? All those applications which are accessed through the browser. Correct? Those are called web application. So there is one application, let us say Flipkart, and you are accessing on your laptop through a browser, right? So that is called web application. So the communication that happens between these two, right, through which the communication is happening, that protocol is called HTTPS protocol. It's a very important protocol. It is used in many places, like in API testing, also in API services, microservices. Okay, this same protocol is used for the communications. Okay, now this protocol, very important protocol. Okay, even mobile apps follow the same protocol. Okay, now this protocol has five schema or five component. What are they? Request, response, header, request method, status code. So I'll show you practically. Uh, for now only. I'm going to show you. Then this HTTP protocol is called as a stateless protocol. Okay, it means it does not remember its previous state. Okay, what is the meaning of this? We'll understand later on. For now, we'll not be able to understand what is this stateless. Okay, so for now, ignore that. Okay, now this one. See, a user action or a transaction on a web application generates HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, and in return, server sends us the response. Okay, fine. A user action or a transaction on a web application generates HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, and in return, server sends us the response. So we'll understand this. What is that? So let us say. So before this, I'll tell you one thing uh, about browser developer tool. Okay. Before understanding this HTTP HTML request and protocol, we'll talk about this. Fine. So browser developer tool. See, in every browser, there is a tool called browser developer tool. So I'll show you. I'll open Mozilla Firefox, and here I have Google Chrome also. So in any browser, there is this tool is called there, which is called browser developer tool. So to bring that, what you have to do is on any page, right? On any page, let us say this is Google, right? You right click and you go to inspect. Okay, so you'll see uh, this this thing will be coming, and this thing will be coming. Generally, by default, this is generally downside. Okay, I'll move it to down. Yeah, it will look like this in your laptop when you try that. Okay, you open any page and you right click and go to inspect. Once you do inspect, this is what it will come. This is called browser developer tool. Okay, here some tabs are there. We will come to that. In any generally I keep it on left right hand side, so I'll just move it to right hand side. From here you can move it to right hand side. Yeah. So this is stuff that you see, that is called browser developer tool. Same way in Mozilla Firefox also. So this is Mozilla Firefox. I'll right click here also, that inspect option is there. I'll click on that and you see it came. Here also in Mozilla Firefox also, generally it will be on downside only, but I have just kept it on my right hand side. Okay, you can change it, not an issue. From these three dots you see here, you can change the location where you want to keep, right bottom, like that. So every browser has this tool. So you can bring this tool through either right clicking and through inspect, or there is one shortcut. Suppose you are on this page, you have to press what? F12. F12, the function key on your keyboard. So I'm here, right? And I'm going to press F2. So you see it came, correct? Same on Google Chrome also. I'm here, I'll just press F2 and you see it came, right? So that is shortcut to bring this. Either through inspect, right click and inspect you can bring, or through that F12 shortcut you can bring. Now in this you'll see there will be tab which will be common in all the browsers. So this above one is Google Chrome and below one is Mozilla Firefox browser, right? So here this tab is called Elements tab. which look like this. Here it is called inspector tab. Then here console is there. Here console is there. Then I think this recorder and debugger are same. Okay, maybe you have to check. Then performance, here performance, right? Then here network tab, which is here, right? This performance is different something. Here this performance is here. Okay, memory, application, yeah. Okay, so most of the tab will be generally same in all the developer tool, like common generally, like you see 2 1 2 3, network tab 4 5 6 up 7. Some more will be there somewhere hidden. Okay, so 7 8 tab generally will be common, and that is the major important tabs. Okay, right. They will be common in all the browser. This thing is there in any browser. How many browser we have generally? We have Internet Explorer, right? We have Google Chrome, we have Mozilla Firefox, the famous one. We have Safari, we have Opera, right? We have Edge. Internet Explorer is not there now. It has been moved with Edge in the latest version of Windows. These are generally famous browser, right? So every browser has this. Okay. So now using this, okay. So now what happens? See, in this uh, tab, generally, this element tab that you see, the above one is Google Chrome, okay, and below one this is Firefox. So the element tab or the inspector tab that you see, this is very important tab generally for the automation people. The Selenium with Java, Selenium with Python, right? The automation testers are there, correct? So generally they use this tab or the content whatever there in this tab very widely. This is very important for us, for performance people. This tab is important, network tab. What happens in network tab and all those things I'll explain. Then there are some other tab also like performance, memory. These are there, okay. But this network tab is generally very important for us. Okay, now using this tool, I'm going to explain this thing that a user action or a transaction on a web application generate a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server. Server means what? Application. And in return, server sends us the response. Okay. So let us say I have opened Notepad here. Fine. So what I'm going to do is I have here Mozilla Firefox is there. I will open that F12 developer tool, and I will go in this where in network tab. Okay. So I am here in network tab. Right. In network tab I have clicked. Now what I'll do here, so let us say some content is showing. We can delete this by pressing this button. Now what I'll do, I'll type here amazon.com, www.amazon.in. So I'm typing that. So what I'm doing, I'm doing one user action. That is what technically it will be one transaction. Basically, which transaction? We are going to launch the home page of amazon.com. Now, when I launch the amazon.com, you see what is happening. So many things happening here, right? So we'll come to that, all those things. Just understand that I'm just scrolling up. When we do one user action, right? When we do one user action or a transaction on a web application, it generates a HTTP HTML request. Okay. You see here, this requests are there here. I'll show you in detail. So HTTP HTML request will be generated in the form of URLs. Okay. In the form of URL to the server, right? So you see here, this you can, we will check here also, or you can check here also. So this URL is generated, right? So we did one transaction and it generated one HTTP HTML request as a URL. to the server. It went to the server through internet. It went to the Amazon server, and in return, okay, and in return, the server sends us the response. Fine. So this response came to us in return. This request went, and response came, which look like this. Okay, we can see this over here. This, if you click, see, uh, when you click on this, you'll see this. Some tabs are there. So basically, you see this is the URL, right? And you go to the request tab. Ignore that request. Basically, this is going as a request. You go to the response. It will show you what response has came. So you see this response has came. So this was the request, right? This is the request. For this request, this response has came, and this is what it's showing over here, right? So this happens generally for every user action or a transaction that we do. I'll show you again. Let us clear this. Now what I'll do, I'll click on this refrigerator. Okay, this refrigerator. I'll clear this all. Nothing is there here. Now I'm going to click on refrigerator. So another transaction I'm going to do. Let us say clicking refrigerator is one transaction. I clicked on that. When I clicked on that, you see uh, this stuff that you should document, right? Meaning of this is HTTP HTML request. Okay, HTTP HTML request. So either you can check here or you can check on top also. You see one new URL got generated. I'll just copy that. Fine. Okay, so you see we did another transaction. That is what we clicked on refrigerators. And what happened, one HTTP HTML request in form of URL went to the server, and in return server has sent me this response that you see here. You see here, right? This page. Correct. You can find. So okay, not in it got hanged. I'll show you again. Let me close. Amazon.com. Right? Amazon.in. So this was the first request. Then let us say we clicked on somewhere a refrigerator was there. It went here. It is there. Okay. So I'm clicking on that refrigerator again. So one more request. You can check on top. Right. I'll just copy that. I think it will be same only. Yeah, it's same because previously also I clicked on the same. Right? So this URL is same. Okay, fine. So we can check that over here as well. Here, just scroll up here. Just click on this. You can match this URL over here, right? And this is the response here. Now, generally the response comes in code format. Okay, I'll explain this later on. For now, let it be. Okay, for now, let us understand first request. Okay, now one more. So let us say I have so many fridges here, refrigerators here. I like someone, so I'll be clicking on that, right? So that is next transaction I'm doing. Let us say I need this Samsung, this one, Samsung 250 liter 2 star. I'll click on that. Okay. So when I clicked on that, so one more user action I did, means one more transaction I did, and again one more URL, one more HTTP HTML request got generated. You can see here how we can check that in network tab here. So this is network tab. You just scroll up and you'll see the initiator will be looking like document here, right? So just click on this and you'll see, go to header, and you see this is the URL. You can match, right? So this request, right? This is a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL. It went to the server and response came, which looks like this. Correct this. Now suppose again one more thing. I want to add it to cart. So another one more transaction I want to do, or I will click on buy now. Okay. So I'll just click on buy now. So when I clicked on buy now, again one more two requests got generated. One one is this and another one is this, two requests. Okay. What are two requests we'll see later on, but for now understand that type is document means it's a HTTP HTML request. Okay. So for now I'll just open this one, like this one, and you see this request is very big. You can match it over here. You can see here Amazon.in sign, right? Let me just copy this and put it here. So what you got, what you understand, that in this is not for this Amazon, on any website, right? So let us say using Mozilla, this is Google Chrome. I'll show you same thing. This will network tab. Wait a minute. I'm in network tab and I'll open Flipkart. So when I open Flipkart, you see Flipkart opened up, and here Flipkart request, right? Flipkart if you click. So if you go to header, the www.flipkart, right? And this is the response. Response will come in code format. We'll see this. For now, ignore that. Then one more, let us say here also you can see, you can, to clear this, here this button is there. You can click on this. Now let us say I will click on this printer. So when I click on printer, a new URL got generated over here, right? You can check for that here. Generally, this stuff looks beautiful in Mozilla Firefox. That's why I'm showing you guys using Mozilla Firefox. Okay. So initially, when you people are practicing, practice using Mozilla Firefox only. Okay. You will understand this stuff in detail.
So, well, I'm still confused here. Like clicking on some URL, like clicking on printer. So a lot of the other stuff has been opened here. So, which part do we need to consider? Like the one which we clicked, or the all it fetched it out like some it throwing 404, 406, or 200. So will we consider all these requests which is coming after clicking to on a
No,
certain
no,
item?
you have to consider only few requests, which I'll explain. Okay, those will be generally the document will be there. The type will be document. Then there is a list is there. XHR comes in that. JSON comes. Okay. So I'll explain. The list is there.
Okay, what are these, and do we have to consider this? That also I'll explain. So for now, ignore that. So in Mozilla Fire, as I said, in Google Chrome, this doesn't look that much better. That's why I'm using Mozilla Firefox. It looks beautiful here. And when you are also practicing, use Mozilla Firefox. Later on, you can switch to Google Chrome, right? So on every website, it happens. Not only for e-commerce, I'm saying. On any website, when you click on anything, you'll see one URL will be generated. Okay, that URL will be acting as a request to the server, and in return that goes to the server, and in return server sends us the response, right? So that is what a user action or transaction on a web application generates a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, and in return server sends us the response, right? So like that, there are many user action on a website, so that's why there are many transaction, many user action on an application, right? So there can be many such so when you do each such transaction, so there can be so many HTTP HTML requests in the form of URL that will be going to the server, right? Fine. So here only just now, if I took this notepad, so first we open Amazon. So this was the request generated. Then we clicked on that refrigerator image, right? So this was the request generated. It is both same. Why same? It will be because it was same. Here some changes there. Ignore that. These are called dynamic value. We'll be talking about this dynamic value later on. Okay, but if you see this till here, it is same because the refrigerator, in both cases I choose the refrigerator only, right? Two time I clicked, right? The Mozilla Firefox hanged, and then I opened, and then okay. Then next step I choose I clicked on a Samsung some 250 liter 2-star product. So again this new URL got generated, correct? Then I clicked on the buy now, I think. So this URL got generated. So likewise, right? So on a website, anything you do, any user action you do, you'll see some uh, uh, the user action is technically called a transaction. So when you do a transaction, you'll see one a set of URLs, the request, HTTP HTML request will be generated to the server, and in return we'll be getting the response from the server, right? Now in this part is called protocol. Okay, obviously it's HTTP protocol, and as you said, HTTP protocol is what is used in all the web application APIs, mobile application, right? So this is the protocol. This part is known as the website name or the domain name. Okay, this will be called as website name or domain name. And domain, it is also called as what? Domain, right? Okay, domain, fine, which is generally same. Now after that, on every click, this stuff changes. This is same because we clicked on the refrigerator, but again we choose another one subtype of refrigerator, then this change. Then we click on sign in, then this change. So you see, from this, right, on every click this stuff is changing. For every action you do, this part will be changing. So this is called generally the path or subpath. Path or subpath. Path or subpath. Path or subpath. Okay, and for every action it will be changing, right? Fine. So this is clear, right? Every action you do, this is how the request goes to the server. Requests are generated, HTTP HTML requests are generated, and they bring the response. Now, so likewise, you do n number of transactions, and there will be many such URL on an application for those many user actions. Right. Now, each such URL, okay, each such URL or HTTP HTML request has its own embedded resources. Okay, so like let us say I did 4 transactions: launch homepage, then clicking on refrigerator, then choosing one refrigerator, then clicking on sign in. 4 transactions I did, and generally you see 4 URL got generated, right? 4 requests. So each such URL or HTTP HTML request has its own embedded resources. It is also called as embedded request or sub request, right? So the list of embedded resources are like CSS, JavaScript, images, or videos. These embedded resources are also called as non-HTML resources. Okay, non-HTML resources. Why they are called embedded resources, we'll understand. But let us first understand what is this embedded resource. To show that, I'll do it again. Net tab, and I will open Amazon again. So when I open Amazon, right? So you see this Amazon.in, this is the main request. Its initiator, it is showing his document, and you can click on here and you see the main request. But apart from that, you see so many things happening here, right? So many this stuff. If you check their initiator, okay, so or file name. So let us say this is a style sheet. These are all our images. You can check your .jpeg file, image file, PNG file, right? Same way, images, script. This script is what JavaScript files. Okay. Then again, images, again script images, right? So every request will have this. Again here images. So what are they? I'll explain. Let me do one more time. So I'll clear this. Now let us say again I'll click on anything. Suppose I'll click on this footwear, right? So I'll clear and I'm going to click on footwear. So when I clicked on footwear, right? So this is the request. You can check that request here. Type is document. You can click on this. So this is the request that went to the server. Okay. And in return, the response comes. Fine. And remember, before I go and explain all these things, remember the response always comes in code format. This is called code for any website. If you want to check that, let us say I'll open Google. If you right click and if you go to view page source, this is the coding. Okay, this is the coding which is making that homepage of Google that we see, right? That we see, right? Anything you open, anything, same Amazon homepage, right? This is the beautiful website that we see. But basically, if I right click and choose view page source somewhere, yeah. So this is the code. Response always comes in code format. Okay, code format. Remember, response doesn't come in this format. If you think response comes in this format, no. Response always comes in this format, code format. Okay, so that's what when I clicked on that footwear, this was the request that went, and this is how the response came, basically in code format. But actually we see this website in beautiful manner. We do not see the code. Why it's happening, I'll explain. That is the use of browser. That is why we use the browser. But generally response comes in code format, right? Fine. Then let me close this. Now, apart from that, if you see for this request style sheet, right? Script is JavaScript, then images, all those things are there. Okay. images, all those things are there. So actually what happens, see, when the request goes and when the response always comes in code format, right? As I said, any response. Okay, so response always comes in code format. When that response comes in code format from the server to the browser, right, the work of the browser is to render this code or to process this code. Like how if you have written any coding in any um, uh, program, it compiles the code, right? So same way, when this code comes to us to the browser from the server, the browser work of browser is to, you can say, compile, but actually it's not compiling. We cannot use the word compile, but understand like that. Compile, generally good word to use is processing the code or rendering the code. Okay, that is the use of browser. That is why we use the browser. So that code is rendered, and after rendering, in the process of rendering, what are the images are there, okay, what are all the stuffs are there, that will be downloaded. And that is how you see so many other thing below downside, right? And then this website is made beautiful and it looks like this to us. Okay, fine. So for an example, I'll show you. Let us say uh, one image, right? I accidentally clicked on one image. See this request. This is a request for a JPEG file. If I go to response, it is calling this, right? This shoe. You see where is that? It is here. So like that, when that code is compiled, right? When that code is compiled, at that time, in that code, whole information will be there, right? Every information, like uh, the theme, how should be the theme looking like, black screen, dark, the headings, what will be the images, if any videos is playing, a small video, fonts, everything. So while processing, when they are rendered, they are downloaded like that. So that's why you see so many other things. Uh, this images, the CSS file, the style sheet. A style sheet file is called a CSS file. Okay, like here you see uh, the style sheets. Then JavaScript files are there. They will be shown downward. Correct. Okay. So these all are called what? Embedded resources. Why they are called embedded resources? Because they are embedded for the main HTML page, the main request, right? The main request that went and the response came. So the response obviously comes in the code format. Now the information about all these images, the CSS file, the JavaScript file is there on that main response, right? Which is in code format. Only after when that is compiled, or you can say processed or rendered, we see them, right? We see them. So that's why they are called embedded, because they are embedded to the main HTML pages. Okay, so they are called embedded resources or sub requests, or they are also called as what? Non-HTML resources, right? Fine. Why they are called embedded resources? You got the idea. Now out of this, so generally these three type will be there. CSS file, a style sheet that I've shown. CSS file does what? They they are the responsible for the beautification of the web page. Like as you said, right? Uh, this will be the blue ribbon, this will be white, gray, white, all those things, the layout, right? Painting kind of thing that you say, canvas. So CSS file is responsible for the design, the layout. CSS file are responsible for that. Okay. Then image, I'll come to JavaScript. Before that, I'll explain images or videos. So this kind of extension that you see, all will be embedded resources. See, okay, JPEG, JPG, GIF, PNG, SVG, XD, font, WF, icon, favicon, ICE, right? So you can see they are there, right? See, images, JPEG, PNG, JPEG, GIF, right? So I have generally kept the list of that, like what will be the images and video, what will be the extension of that. All will be embedded resources. CSS extension will be .css and JavaScript file. JavaScript files, their initiator, it will show you as a script. So you can see here, This is a style sheet. A style sheet means all our CSS files. Then somewhere, if anywhere is somewhere it will be there, scripting will be there. See script, right? Script. So you can see the extension, see .js. Okay, .js, JavaScript files, right? So from this extension only, I have almost kept the list of all the embedded resources extension here. You have to just remember. By looking at that only, you will be knowing that these all are embedded resources. Correct. So images and videos are responsible for the images on that page or videos on that page, right? Videos on that page. Now JavaScript, okay, JS file. What they do basically? So JavaScript, they does the logical functionality on a web page on user end, on user side. Okay, logical functionality. So one small example I'll give you. Let us say this is Flipkart. Okay, and on Flipkart, if you see, understand this, no? The login button is there. I'm going to click on that login button. Okay, now I'll do what? I will put a, here it's saying put a email ID or mobile number. I'll put a mobile number. In India, mobile number is of 10 digit. I'll just put 9 digit. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 digit I have put. Now I'll click on login. See, when I clicked on login, here nothing happened, right? Nothing happened means when I clicked on login, no request went that time. This is coming later and ignore that. But when that time when I clicked on login, see, I am clicking here, nothing is happening, right? And here one message came, error message. So on the user end on my end, on my end, how this page is knowing that I have not entered a valid email ID or a valid mobile number. So for that, a coding is written that are called JavaScript codes, which will do their work on the user end, right? Okay, so now another example, I'll rectify this. I'll make it 10 digit done. Now again, what I'm going to do, I'll again click on login. I have not clicked it. I'll click. Now this time it will throw error for password. Okay, so let me clear this. Click. See, nothing happened here. Means no request went to the server. Okay, server has nothing to do that. But even though this message come, so you'll think server is sending this message. No, server did no request went to the server only. Why this will come from server side? This is not coming from server side. This is already came when you first open the Flipkart. All this thing has came. Okay, from the server in the first response only. Now they are just doing their work. So when I'm entering this and I forgot to enter the password, this page, there is JavaScript file on this page which is verifying this and sending me this. So this kind of logical activity that is done on the user end, right, on the web page, which doesn't have to do anything with the server response, those things are handled by JavaScript file, logical coding, correct, logical thing. Now what I'll do, I'll fill some password here, let us say. And now if I click on login, you'll see some request will be made. So now you see some request being made, authenticate request. There is 404. 404 means failure. Why failure? Because I just sent some wrong credential, right? Ignore that. But now two requests has been made. Okay. So that example, right? The previous one, which I have just shown you, the when I was entering the wrong mobile number, password, the message were coming, correct? So those kind of activities on the page are done by the JavaScript files. Okay. So now you got the idea, right? This is very important. Understand? when we do a transaction, request will be sent to the server. That request will be HTTP HTML request in the form of URL, and server will send us the response. The response always comes in code format. When that code is rendered by the browser for that request, right, the main request, we will see so many CSS file or JavaScript file or the piece, this image and video file will be rendering or processing. Correct. Those are called as embedded resources or non-HTML resources. Why they are called embedded resources? Because they are embedded to the main response, main HTML response, main HTML page. Correct. Fine. Now you will say, do we have to remember? Do we have to learn JavaScript? No. Okay. Do not worry. This is just for the information. You are learning something, just to have an idea what is happening. Okay. We do not have to worry about this all. We have to just worry about, we have to just understand, okay, this is CSS file, this is JavaScript file, this is a JPEG file, means this all comes in the category of embedded resources, and we have to generally ignore them. We have to focus on the main request. Okay, main request generally you will see whose title will be shown as document here. Correct. Document, right? Or you can match that with over here address bar also. There are more also. It's not only document. Some more requests are also there, which are considered their type. Okay, generally this type is showing in document, right? Some more are there, like XHR will be there, JSON is there. Those all are considered as main request also. I'll be telling that, okay, later on. But all this extension that you see right here, they all comes under the embedded resources category, and you have to ignore them. Very simple. You have to just understand, okay, these are non-HTML resources. So that will be for today. Yeah.
Okay,
Tomorrow
thank you,
we'll
Ali.
learn the request, the response, the header, the method, the status code.
So thank you, sir. We great class, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.